From the Gray Man Briefing, this is a summary of recent developments regarding the Second Amendment, cybersecurity, protests, supply chain disruptions, national security, law and order, free speech, censorship, government oversight, and more. Now, for your situational awareness, Super Essie will be reading out the latest update. Get briefs sent in real time at graymanbriefing.com. That's Gray with an A. Let's get into it.
And welcome back. This week we cover updates on government oversight, including hospitals profiting on sex change procedures for 13,000 juveniles, and a pastor's arrest at a North Carolina school board meeting. We also discuss a major train robbery in Chicago, a Halloween mass shooting of 13 people in Oklahoma City, and the Department of Justice's lawsuit against Virginia related to election security. Additionally, a U.S. Army soldier is sentenced for aiding ISIS, and the Supreme Court reviews regulations on ghost guns. Let's start today with government oversight. In Apex, North Carolina, a local pastor was removed from a school board meeting after protesting a soft porn book assigned to a 15-year-old student, which he describes as inappropriate. The pastor argued that the school violated the Parental Rights Bill, that's HB 49. He was handcuffed and removed by police after his protest. The DOJ filed a lawsuit against Virginia accusing the state of illegally removing non-citizens from voter rolls too close to the election. Virginia's governor defended the state's actions as legally required. According to a watchdog group known as Do No Harm, the U.S. healthcare industry charged $120 million for sex change procedures on minors between 2019 and 2023. Over 13,000 children underwent these procedures, with 5,700 minors receiving surgeries and 8,500 being prescribed puberty blockers or hormones. Shifting a little bit more now into health and safety, a recall of over 9 million pounds of meat products, including chicken, beef, pork, and turkey, has been issued due to a listeria contamination. The products were sold at retailers such as Walmart, Kroger, Target, and it affected brands such as Atkins, Dole, and Fresh Express. Now moving into national security, and specifically here terrorism, an Afghan refugee, his name was Nasir Tawadi, has been charged for plotting a terrorist attack on Election Day in support of ISIS. The plot was discovered through an FBI sting operation, and Tawadi is accused of planning to acquire weapons and indoctrinating children with extremist beliefs. Moving forward here with national security, 5 Chinese nationals have been charged after lying about their late-night visit to Camp Grayling, Joint Maneuver Training Base in Michigan. They claimed to be watching shooting stars, but were later found to have deleted photos from their smartphones and were charged with providing misleading information to authorities. A U.S. Army soldier was sentenced to 14 years in prison for plotting to assist ISIS by providing ambush tactics against fellow soldiers. The soldier's radicalization began after consuming ISIS propaganda online. Now moving into our major incident briefings. In Lake Lure, North Carolina, which is an area impacted by Hurricane Helene, a man was arrested for allegedly threatening Federal Emergency Management Agency workers, or FEMA. Mainstream media and far-left social media personalities initially claimed that FEMA was under the threat of armed militias. Supposedly this paused FEMA operations. It appears the man, who was exercising his Second Amendment rights by openly carrying a firearm, was overheard at a gas station making statements negative of FEMA. He was then reported to nearby Army National Guard soldiers, who then notified law enforcement, who then located and arrested the man for going armed to the terror of the public. There were no militias involved. There's no militia activity happening. Just, I hate to say the word, but disinformation. A man was arrested at a Trump rally in Coachella Valley, California, after posing as press and gaining access to the VIP section. He also was later stopped and had firearms. They found that the weapons and fake IDs and a lot of other stuff related to this guy, they thought he was possibly attempting another assassination attempt. There is a lot of random information coming out of this one. You got law enforcement saying a lot of what is related to this man makes him seem like a sovereign citizen. You've got people saying this was absolutely nothing. This guy is an absolute pro-Trump guy and he was invited there. There's a lot going on about this. The Gray Man briefing is obviously going to try to keep it covered, but yeah, right now, be careful what you read about this incident at Coachella Valley. It could very well be completely blown out of proportion, or it could be something that's being trying to be covered up. The GBC will definitely track it. The security team member who reported a shooting at the Epicenter Church, basically, if you recall, last week we talked about this security guy at a church had shot 3 bullets at a car or a van that was supposedly filled with jihadist terrorists. Yeah, it turns out the whole story was apparently fabricated, and now this security team member is charged with making false statements, and yeah, looks like nothing happened there. Over in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 13 people were shot and 1 person was killed during a Halloween party at an event center after a dispute between 2 groups escalated. This is just one of those mass shootings you don't really hear about on the news just because of who's involved. On October 11th, the train robbery halted operations at Union Pacific West in Chicago. Video footage shows over 50 people looting rail cars, basically stealing TVs, and putting them in nearby vehicles like box trucks. 6 arrests were initially made. Police activity and the looting caused some delays there at the train station. The Gray Man Briefing has videos on many of these incidences, so if you want to see the sources and media content or read the analysis, join the news and intel service at graymanbriefing.com. That's gray with an A. It's $5 a month. Briefs are sent weekly via email and daily on the Telegram and Signal apps. Let's now move into the Second Amendment briefing. A federal judge in New York ruled that the state law prohibiting licensed gun owners from carrying concealed weapons on private property without the property owner's expressed permission violates the Second Amendment. Moving on, SCOTUS has signaled a possible willingness to uphold the 2022 ATF rule cracking down on what 2A opponents call ghost guns by redefining those frames and receivers. On October 8th, the U.S. Supreme Court considered the Biden administration's rule on DIY firearm kits, like we said, referred to as ghost guns, subjecting them to the same regulations as commercially made firearms, including requiring serial numbers and mandatory background checks for purchasers, in addition to the background checks already done. The rule, argued in Garland versus Vanderstock, is being challenged by firearms manufacturers, distributors, and gun rights groups who argue that these kits don't meet the legal definition of a firearm. The government argues it's been overstepping its authority in creating this new rule, which is said to be a reinterpretation of that 1968 Gun Control Act, or the GCA. SCOTUS has already intervened twice to revive the Biden administration's ghost gun regulation after decisions by lower courts. All 3 liberal justices, along with Justice Roberts, Coney Barrett, and Kavanaugh, expressed skepticism towards the challenge brought by gun right groups against this rule. So you've kind of got a lot of the justices here that may side with the gun opponents, the anti-2A folks. If the rule is upheld, it could mark a shift for this Supreme Court, which has previously ruled against other comparable reinterpretations of existing regulations by federal agencies without congressional action. So that is it for this week. Thanks for listening, and as always, remain aware, be vigilant, and stay safe.
Get unredacted, real-time briefings sent via email and through the Telegram and Signal apps by joining the Gray Man Briefing.